Hello.
Mr. Dwayne Morgan, how are you?
I'm excellent. Yourself?
I'm Peachy Keen.
All right, awesome.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to be acquainted and looking forward to a little chit chat.
Welcome to the Lift Oneself podcast. Dwayne, I'm so thankful you're here with me.
Happy to be here.
Let's take a breath together. Breathe in through your nose and gently release. How's your heart doing?
As far as I know, it's doing well. So I hope that I'm accurate with that.
What can you thank COVID for?
Um, I think I can definitely thank COVID for a break. I think having done my career. I mean, this is the 29th year of my career. And I realized through COVID, there was a lot of stuff that I was doing on autopilot. And that break allowed me to reassess the things that I wanted to do, reassess what things brought me joy, why I was doing certain things, so that now I can be more intentional with the things that I'm doing.
Nice. 29 years, that's a long haul.
It's been a journey. It's been a great one.
So in this, pause or slowing down, what did you discover about yourself?
Let's see. I think there was a realization of how much I give to people, community, to the world, which I would never change, but at the same time had to create balance to make sure that I was giving to myself as well. So in that time, for years I'd wanted to learn how to play the guitar. I said, okay, well, now is the time. Just let's start trying to, figure this out, because it was something that I always, wanted to do. Didn't grow up with pets, so I got a puppy. Just things that I always felt would bring me joy, but I could never find the time because I was so busy in this rat race of doing all of these things that I really took the time to prioritize myself and my joy and what was going to bring me peace. And I feel like the work that I do with other people is better now that I'm, prioritizing myself a lot more.
Yeah, it can be difficult when we're always giving to actually receive from ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and put ourselves first,
Mm-hmm.
because I think there's a little bit of an indoctrination that we're supposed to serve everybody else and as if we're a nobody. And
Right.
it's to remember to include ourselves in that other people
Mm-hmm.
and that we are somebody. And it takes work to do that, especially in the field that you're in the arts and entertainment. I was looking, I'm like, you're into photography, you're into writing poetry, you're into creating events, you're into doing writing sessions with people. So you're in all the facets of art and entertainment and really gathering, different people. What brought you into that?
It was interesting. I think, life just kind of brought me there. I don't believe in accidents and coincidences. So, when I was in high school, I was in charge or the president of our Black students group, and there weren't a lot of Black students in my high school. And I was putting on a talent show to raise some funds for some stuff that we wanted to do. And I realized that I had a lot of friends who had talent. They were rappers, singers, dancers. And I realized that I had no talent, I guess, other than being able to organize this. So I realized that all the people who were coming were going to, put my friends in the spotlight, and they were going to be the cool people. And I wanted to figure out, well, how do I get to be cool too? So having no talent, I figured the easiest thing to do is to write a poem. So I wrote a poem, and then that poem as I say, changed my life. It was the starting of something. And prior to that, I had never written poems. I didn't, have a journal. I didn't write I just didn't write. This was like the first thing that I was writing. And it was just to be on stage with my friends. And after that event, people just kept on wanting to hear my stories and the poems that I wrote. I realized I had great organizational skills. So while I was still in high school, I started my business, putting on talent shows. And that's really how it all started.
Now, you mentioned that with the slowing down of the pandemic and that you had to, support the joy within yourself. And rather than going outwardly and giving it to other people, you had to support it within yourself. So what does self-care look like for Dwayne?
Spending time with my daughter is a big part of that. And pretty much for most of her life, her and I have had like a daddy-daughter date every Friday. And she kind of just chooses what she wants to do or where she wants to eat or whatever. And we go and we do that. Now it's, now she's a teenager and now I have to battle, with her friends for time and stuff like that. So I got to put my foot down every now and then, to try and maintain that. Oddly enough, my phone just went off. That was her texting me. So, a big part of it is, spending time with her, as I mentioned before, playing the guitar and being awful at something. And I tell people, all the time that, on this journey with the guitar, when I've been doing the photography and the poetry and stuff for such a long time, and I've gotten extremely good at that stuff, that it's great to find something that you suck at. It's a humbling experience. It reminds you of where you started, where you came from, the need to practice, learn, become, have compassion for yourself and all these kinds of things. So I think, that journey of trying to learn an instrument at my age has been, a great joy, but also very frustrating, as well. And, just really taking the time to live and just be present has been a great source of joy, and not, go all the time, but really just kind of, laying back and relaxing a little bit and just having, me time, even if it's to do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, just to be. Yeah. Just to be is something. Yeah, we think it's nothing, and it takes a lot of strength to just be and not be thinking that you have to do and have to accumulate or achieve or be like, just to be and be in stillness. I know I teach meditation to people, and stillness can be very aversive for people, and it can signal a threat for people. And what they don't understand sometimes is that in childhood, when you were in stillness, you could have been harmed. So coming back into that space, there's a signal in the body and it feels very uncomfortable. So it's not in your head that I don't know how to do this. It's because there's an actual trauma response when you come back into that stillness. And that's the work to reprogram your nervous system to signal yourself that you're safe here. Even though you've been harmed before, you're okay to be in this stillness. I've seen some of the clips that you've put on IG, and one that piqued my interest was about the Minister of Education and our wonderful education system here in Ontario. What do you think the education needs?
Well, it needs a complete overhaul, first of all, which, is not likely to happen. But in order for it to be a successful system, it has to be completely overhauled. The educational system that we currently use was created so long ago and was created for a specific community of people that it is so irrelevant to many of today's people. It is so contrary to how many different cultures learn and take in information. the Eurocentric nature of it puts the emphasis on I and personal achievement, whereas the people who do the worst in the current system are Indigenous kids and Black kids, who both come from communities that are focused on why, not on I. They are communal communities. So, people will see, them failing out of school or being pushed out of school and think that, well, they're not smart or they can't do the work. And it's the culture of school goes completely against how they exist and how they see the world and how they experience life. So, there has to be, some kind of reconfiguring of the system to recognize that there are different ways of learning, different cultural practices that impact how we engage with school and how we engage with different systems, and not just this antiquated Eurocentric way of teaching.
What are programs that would benefit kids from a young age that needs to be introduced into the curriculum?
Well, I mean, anytime there are budget cuts, the first thing that gets cut are the arts. Kids from Indigenous communities, Black communities love the arts, thrive on the arts. You can teach them anything through art, and they'll get it. So, when you cut the arts, it is actually you're directly, cutting a pathway to success for many students. I know with the Toronto School Board, they came out with the Afrocentric school, and I believe there's an Indigenous one, and the students who are going to those schools are faring way better than the students who are just in the general regular, schools. So clearly there is a case to be made about, how things need to change in order to have greater success for more young people who are going through the educational system.
There's times where I have brain fog, where there's low energy. I don't want to do anything. I'm not motivated. And let me tell you, I had no idea what I needed until I tried Magic Mind. So I was a bit skeptic trying this Magic Mind, not thinking it was really going to do anything. Let me tell you, I was so wrong. Now, the reason I was skeptic is because it's all natural ingredients, such as ceremonial grade matcha, lion's mane mushroom, turmeric, cumin. And you know what? I had no idea that it would lift my energy, drive focus, and boost my mood. What I had as procrastination before wasn't there. The brain fog was lifted. And, I tried it in several different ways. I did it before a podcast. Another day I did it before having to coach a client. Another day I did it when I had to do physical activities with the twins. And each time there was clarity and energy. It was fantastic.
Sharing is caring. And for you, the listener, I'm able to offer you a discount code. Yeah. For the next 10 days, you are able to get 40% off your subscription. Go to the link www.magicmind.co/lift and use my discount code LIFT20. You don't know until you try it. And let me tell you, I've tried it and I am a subscriber now. Don't wait. Right now, what I'm seeing and the conversations that I'm having with men of color, Caribbean, African, Afro-Canadian, is there is a heavy topic of suicide. And there's a lot of pressure on men and I don't believe that there's enough spaces for them to speak openly about it. What do you think would help provide spaces for men to be with their vulnerability and to be open to talk about the pressures that society, culture, even themselves have put on themselves that is starting to impact their mental well-being?
Well, I mean, I think overall, I mean, that's such a loaded
It is.
question, because there are so many intersections at play when it comes to men and mental health and suicide and these sorts of things. The first thing is that, we're living in a time now where probably more than ever before, no one knows what the definition of manhood is. There was a time where there was a definition. This is a clear line. This is manly, manhood, blah, blah, blah. And those lines have been so blurred right now that men are kind of just like out to sea and have no clue what is expected of them, who they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to be, where they fit in, to anything. And that feeling of not knowing or not belonging creates an insecurity in oneself, because you have no idea, how am I supposed to be here? How am I supposed to, function here? How am I supposed to treat people? Am I supposed to do this? Am I not supposed to do this? And so you end up with more questions than answers. Layer on top of that, race and racism, and what that does to the psyche of a person, and the effect that has on one's physical and mental health. Then, we have to look at these notions of, manhood and success and these kinds of things that might be, cultural, or might just be very capitalistic in terms of the society that we're in now. And you just create a situation where nobody has any clue what's going on. Everything feels absolutely overwhelming. There's nowhere for you to turn to speak about this, because A, the other men are trying to figure it out too. And, B, we don't live in a society where there's any kind of safety in terms of being vulnerable as a man. The minute you become vulnerable, you almost eject yourself out of the manhood category, because, well, that's one thing we've got almost held on to. Well, no, that's not manly, to be vulnerable and to open up and to cry and to let people in and to ask for help and to say that I'm not okay, and these sorts of things. So, and then couple that with, as much as men are struggling with that, there are also, women who don't support vulnerable men. And if a man shows vulnerability, he becomes a joke. He becomes, something to message their friends about and to laugh at and to all of these things. And it's so hard for a man to open up that if he does, and that does not go well, you may have sealed that vault forever, because it'll be so hard for him to trust to open up to somebody else again after he took a risk, and then that risk went absolutely nowhere. So, I mean, it's such a layered, big, nuanced topic and conversation that has to be peeled away, layer by layer, like an onion, and just kind of trying to discover all of these different nuances, because there's no one quick fix to something that is such a big problematic issue in our society today.
And the reason why I'm having these conversations, because like you said, we all have our part in it. And as a woman, and I have 3 sons, I want to do my part to see and dismantle some of these boxes that men have been put into, like the notion of boys don't cry. It has infuriated me to hear that sentence, and dismissing them to that they're not allowed to be human. They're not allowed to be sensitive. And to change that narrative of the aggression and violence, and that's what makes you a man, and not being able to be in touch with your own humanity. And when you were talking about the females, it brought tears to my eyes, because I can feel where a person will feel isolated and not even be able to reveal where there's pain because of the judgments and the perceptions of other people and the ridicule. Nobody wants to be ridiculed. And especially with the man's manhood, it's a very sacred, sensitive place to be in. Yet I think what is needed and what I am doing to remove these stigmas is to engage in conversations, and that we now take accountability that we need to create these spaces where people are feeling safe, and that we as women, I can speak as a woman, not all women, yet for myself, that I want to honor and help to create these spaces so men can start doing their own work and being able to feel safe with it, so that we can change the narrative and these definitions that have been placed on men. Because a woman also has to see their part in it. And I know some may not want to see that, yet we're not, this idea that we're supposed to be against each other. And it's like, we both need each other. Like female and males need each other to procreate and, allow humanity to continue on. Yet if we always see each other as an attack, we're not able to unify and build together. So it's always, for me, I see history that the pendulum keeps going one side or another, where it's like, where are both sides coming together and being the coin, not flipping it all the time to see which side is going to be chosen. It's actually like embracing the coin. And I think this topic, a lot of people may not be speaking about it, yet it's going to be needed. And to think that we always can go do therapy, or not everybody can afford therapy. Not everybody can afford to go see a psychologist or go see coaches or whatnot. Yet we as a society can start building these conversations and being able to listen and witness other people's pain. And I know it takes strength to do that. It takes courage to do that. Yet if we want to strengthen our communities, our villages, this is going to be needed. It's going to be a necessity, and to remove this taboo and the pressures that we're putting on men. Because for me, some of it is ridiculous. I get very angry with it, and I just want to say a few very bad words to people and say, are you like insane? Like, why would you? Yeah. Thank you for, giving your part and sharing what your perspectives, and really opening that part about women, because women we have to see our part in that too, of the ridicule.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the other part too, just on the whole idea of, the women, is that even in the Black community, there are so many women-led households that women are playing a huge part in the socialization of how young men see themselves. This idea of, vulnerability and different things. If there's no man in the home, where do these ideas come from? You're spending maybe 18 years of your life in a home with a woman. So she has a responsibility in terms of shaping a lot of who you are and the man that you are going to become. So, it's not just about the piece about, ridiculing a man that opens up, but it's also the fact that you might be raising men. And who are the men that you are raising? What kind of men are you raising? And are you raising, men in a way to, retaliate against things that happen with their father or different things or whatever? Like, there's, again, so many nuances that impact, how we treat young boys in the home. And these young boys go out into the world as young men and manifest many of the things that we're talking about. Uh-oh, did I lose you? You're back.
I love Rogers. They're actually having to put a new line for me because my internet is crap right now. I really apologize about that.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Technology. Okay. I know it got a bit of it. I don't know if you can rewind that part about, because it is a very important one.
So, and you probably have it in the recording as well, but I will repeat and say that it's not just about, women's interactions with men who are vulnerable with them, but it's also the fact that women are raising young boys and are teaching them about how they're supposed to be men. So are the women who are raising these boys teaching them that it's okay to be vulnerable, that it's okay to cry, that, all of these kinds of things? Or are they teaching them, these old ways of thinking that are more damaging to young men in today's society than they would have been, generations ago?
I would even bring it one step further, is that possibly some women are projecting their anger and fear on the children. And so then that shapes how a child identifies, and then they project. I just came back from Jamaica. I was in Negril, and this one man we were just dialoguing, and the twins couldn't understand like the hostility and the language of the people. Because, when you're there, it can be everybody's yelling at each other, everybody's bad mouthing, but everybody's getting along in this kind of language, but it feels like they're going to start fighting at any minute. Mm-hmm. And the twins are like, we don't understand. And I was explaining this to this man, and he's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, that's just how the culture is here. Yet they have, a lot of them are led by women. The households are led by women, and they're very aggressive, the women. And he's like, and by just saying this, now I'm kind of seeing that possibly these men are aggressive because they need to have an outlet, because they've been in a household led with aggression. Mm-hmm. And so at times the women we have to see that part as a mother. And if it's a single parent home, of being responsible for our own anger and our own fear and what is being projected on that child. And that is a lot of work as an individual, to no longer, put that on and be accountable for what there is, and be accountable for that aggression, because it does shape a person. And then, boys get the definition that, well, this is how I have to be because this is how I was treated, unless they have the awareness to break out of that cycle. But you brought a good point of, establishing the definition of that.
Yeah. And I think, it's so layered and stuff, right? Because again, then we also have to look at, well, then how are we raising girls? Are we raising girls to recognize that everyone should be vulnerable? Everyone should cry. Or is it still, no, this is the girls' domain. Girls do this. We often grow up, if it's a single mother household, there's always this narrative of, be a strong woman. You don't need a man for anything. I've done it. I've raised you, this and that, or whatever. And we don't even realize the damage that's being done to these young women, because when you get older, how do you create space in your life for a partner if you've grown up hearing, I don't need. We do need. But it's not a matter of being dependent. We don't know how to be interdependent. We don't know how to create space for someone else to come in and be a part of our lives that allows us then to blossom and bloom in a way that we would never be able to on our own. So as long as we have this narrative of, I don't need a man, I don't need this, I can do it on my own, I'm a strong woman. Yeah, you're going to be a strong woman by yourself, creating this cycle over and over again. And when relationships don't work out, then you get this bitterness. That bitterness then feeds into how you raise your children. And we never get out of this conundrum that we find ourselves in.
Thank you. I have been saying this for the past couple of days with people. I'm like, this thing of independence is bullshit. Mm-hmm. There is nothing in this world, even in your own body, there is nothing that does not rely on something else to grow. Mm-hmm. So the ideology of independence and trying to be an independent person, it's hogwash. You need another partner, mm-hmm. to be there to help you grow. Sure, there is autonomy to do things on your own and not be codependent on people, yet there is interdependence. And I'm thankful you use that word because you don't hear it much. You
Mhm.
only hear dependence or independence, not interdependence. And that's
Yeah.
what we're looking for. We're looking for connection. We're not looking for attachment. We're looking for connection and where we can thrive and grow together, not
Absolutely.
weigh each other down and not criticize and fly each other. It's amplifying and encouraging and keeping ourselves accountable that you can be your best. But
Yeah.
yet the language is, yes, I don't need this, I don't need that. Where it's like, well, what's on the other side of that? That you're not being vulnerable, that, oh, I've been hurt and I don't know how to open up. I've
Mm.
been I don't know how to choose partners because I don't even know what I need for myself. I don't even understand what my own standards are. So I've chosen people that have harmed me because I didn't realize I was taking scraps or I didn't know how to hold boundaries towards people. Yet this I don't or the I don't care. I'm like, what's on the other side of that that you don't want to reveal to other people? And
Yeah. And
it's
I was just going to say that, we have this a long list of all the things we don't need, but ask people what they do need and they have no idea. They just know all the stuff that they don't need, but what do you need? And it's just a blank stare at that point.
yeah, how are you supporting it? Because everything that you're saying you're not wanting, you're giving that attention, but the things that you actually need, you're not giving it any attention and it can't grow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not being, you have to appreciate something, will appreciate. So if you're not appreciating your own needs, you're not going to grow in the way. And yeah, that's the first thing when I ask people too with the self-care, it's like, what are your needs? And people are a blank stare. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've never even known I had needs. And it's like, of course you do. You're a human being. Like, of course you're supposed to have needs. It's fascinating when we can finally ask ourselves the questions inwardly, not be on the outside trying to go in. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of accountability of having some conversations of our language and how our structures are and everything else. And no way am I thinking that this is an easy fix and let's get it done. It's that these are conversations that now are having to be had amongst each other, not waiting for institutes and systems to lead and say, well, we're going to do this program. It's like, well, one-on-one, opening up these dialogues so that we can go into places and other dimensions and start creating our own definition of things and
Mm-hmm.
structures and interactions with each other.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you.
I'm going to bring you into a reflective question.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to take your awareness right now and bring it to your 18-year-old self. And you're only allowed to tell yourself 3 things. And those are only 3 words you can use. What would those 3 words be?
I would say just believe in yourself. I think that would be the most beneficial advice I could have given to myself back then.
Why?
Well, no, I think I, grew up with this. You grew up in this idea with, parents who came from a different place and they have these big dreams and ideas of, who their children are going to be in the world. And, even I think at 18, I started my business, but even then doing that, still didn't feel, proud of myself, still didn't feel confident in the decision that I had made. So I think there was always an expectation that I was supposed to be someone that I wasn't. So, believing in myself really is, just the idea of be you, be confident in who you are. And, you don't have to change for anybody. You don't have to be what other people want or think or expect you to be. Just be you.
Where can the listeners find you?
I mean, the easiest way, depending on what you want to find, is just putting my name in Google, Dwayne Morgan. I am on, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, whatever. I'm out there. So depending on what it is that you're looking for and what you're trying to find of mine, yeah, I'm easy to find.
Okay. And is there anything you'd like to leave the listeners with?
Yeah, believe in yourself.
I like that. I like that. Thank you for coming on to the podcast, even with the technical glitches that we've had. And thank you for everything that you're offering into the world. And, believing in yourself in these 29 years and still continuing on and offering, the gift of curiosity with the arts and showing people what is possible with endurance and, being committed and being consistent with things. So thank you for everything that you bring into the world, Dwayne. I really appreciate it.
It is definitely a pleasure. And thank you for this platform and the conversation.
Remember to be kind with yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thank you for your time. It's greatly appreciated. If you found any value in this conversation, please share it out with a friend. Help us grow the dialogue. Let us create the safe spaces of healing. You can find more information at www.liftoneself.com. Until next time, be kind with yourself.